Welcome to the MasterMind Library. They call me Ferdinand, the bringer of balance, leader of many disciplines, and your host of the MasterMind Library, the home of the MasterMind Book Club on FHTII.com. We reached episode 73, and we are on the last chapter of ImHotep, the Vizier and physician of King Zoser. We're in chapter 6 today, and we're also going to touch the Epilogue. This is a good book. There are some things that I've pointed out to the audience a couple of times here or there concerning sometimes what we get out of European authors when they're writing about ancient Kemet, or what they may call ancient Egypt. Sometimes the European authors, they're very good at they're very good at finding doctrine to support whatever they're writing. I would imagine they may know how to read the Metu Neter and all of that. So they're able to pull from other sources. But what is lacking a lot of the times in their writings, when it's coming down to them writing about the ancient people, is an actual understanding of the ancient ways. And to have that understanding, there's a couple of things that are necessary. Number one is understanding the transcendental side of our existence, the transcendental side of our teachings, the transcendental education, right? Understanding the spiritual side of things, not from a perspective of religion, but understanding it from a perspective of planetary principle, laws, these types of things. And when I say laws, I'm not talking about local, federal, county, state. No, universal law. When we have an understanding of all of these different things, and then we have a better opportunity to properly interpret some information of the past, who we don't have any living individuals to give us guidance on. Now, another thing that is missing from the European authors is melanin. Okay. Melanin, I highly recommend every single person who's listening to go out there and do a little research on melanin, because without it, it is very difficult to have a full understanding of this universe. That's like a prerequisite piece of your being, to be able to be in full circle with the cosmos and with your existence as you. Well, one of the names that have been given to the melanated people throughout the world by Dr. Sebi. First name is Alfredo Bowman, nicknamed Dr. Sebi. He called the melanated people around the world the organic family. Okay, this organic family, the reason why it's organic is because it is the same substance as what the cosmos is made of. Right. So as a result, those with the higher levels of melanin, if they're living in maturity, accountability, responsibility, humility, and sacrifice, well, what happens is their abilities get heightened. Their ability to understand is different. Their ability to have the full picture is different. So as I read through this book that has a lot of great facts, it is missing certain things. Like, I'll give you an example. From my understanding, the ancient Cometians, they didn't use words like God. We're talking about the Neteru, right? But you're not going to find the Neteru. You're not going to find that word inside of this book. And these things right here, they stand out to me, right? So it doesn't necessarily mean that the information that he wrote in here was wrong. Not at all. It just more so means that there's not a full picture there. And anytime we're dealing with something that doesn't give a full, well-rounded picture, then we're dealing with a piece of the pie. And anytime we're dealing with a piece of the pie, pending how it's used, it could be deception, or it could be a number of other things. But absolute truth is what it's not. Okay, so we got to dig deeper in MHotep. We got some pieces from Dr. Jamieson Hurry, and we're going to conclude today with chapter 6 and the epilogue. But we're going to have to dive into maybe a couple of authors that are from various countries and what is today called Africa. We may have to dive into some ancient documents, and we definitely are going to have to go look at the Metu Neter in modern day Egypt to learn more about Imhotep, because our European authors, there's certain pieces that they didn't understand at that time, so their view is possibly skewed. Right. And then they're speaking on then one of the things I noticed about Dr. Jamieson Hurry, writing this book, Imhotep, the Vizier and Physician of King Zoser, is most of what he's focused on in this book is concerning the time period where Egypt, or ancient Kemet, was colonized by Westerners. So these are all things that are very important to notice, because one of the individuals that Dr. Jamieson Hurry mentions in this book is Thoth. Some people call him Tahuti or Jehuti. And then there's others, let's say the Westerners, who may call him Hermes Trismegistus, right? Well, if this is true, he predates all of the pharaohs. He predates all of the Neteru of ancient Kemet. He predates them, so he built ancient Kemet according to the information that I've read. He is the beginning of ancient Kemet. And yes, we still need to give reverence to the others who came after him, like Imhotep and Amenhotep, and the list of names goes on and on and on and on and on. um but we need to be aware of what has actually happened, what has actually went down, so that we have a absolute truth understanding of whatever it is that we're looking at, versus us looking at things from a perspective of whatever the author wrote. We do need to look at that from that perspective, but we also need to be able to slide that piece that they gave into the pie. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and jump on over to chapter 6 in Imhotep, the Vizier and Physician of King Zoser. All right. It's a pretty short chapter, and so is the epilogue. So we're going to knock this out pretty quick. I appreciate everybody who's been with us. This is something we're all growing in together. So keep coming to the MasterMind Library. Keep commenting. Keep showing love. Keep sharing the videos, because we need to get this information out to all of our brothers and sisters. Right? We're all in this together. I may talk often about melanation, which rightfully so, it needs to be talked about. But I also want to be very clear that the human family is one. We may have highly melanated people. We may have people with lesser than optimal levels of melanin, but we are all one family. We all come from the same exact group of people, every single one of us. No matter what your color is, we all come from the same mother and father of humanity. And then further on, and then when we have these testings and all these things that happen later on in our history, or let's say 300,000 or 400,000 years ago, maybe even as much as 50 to 100,000 years ago, we still were part of one family. We just were doing diabolical things to each other while being a part of one family. All right. So as we are one family, I hope and pray that you get these videos to your brothers and your sisters. I hope you get these videos to your son and your daughter, your grandmother and your grandfather, your mom and your dad, your auntie and your uncle, your homegirl and your homeboy, right? We all need this information, and we need to stand together in it so that we can move forward into this new paradigm in unity. So let's go ahead and get started. Honor to whom honor is due. Strange it is that the claims of MHotep to be recognized as the tutelary deity of medicine have been so neglected many centuries before the exodus of the Israelites from Egypt. Long before the recognition of Asclepios by the Greeks as their legendary god of medicine, long before the days of Homer, long before the birth of Hippocrates, there lived in Egypt a magician physician so famous for his skill in healing disease that he became recognized eventually as the Egyptian god of medicine. To him surely belongs the highest place in our hagiology. To him should physicians all over the world, all the world over, look up as the patron spirit of the Ars Medendi, as the emblematic god of medicine. The reason for the neglect of Imhotep doubtless lies in the fact that it is only since Champollion deciphered the hieroglyphs about a century ago that the civilization of ancient Egypt has become known to the learned world. Until then, all contemporary records, whether depicted in the temples or tombs or inscribed on papyri, were undecipherable. Meanwhile, Greek and Roman scholarship had for many centuries been familiar, with the result that the mythological lore relating to the classical deity of the healing art has become interwoven with the history of medicine in all civilized countries, to the exclusion of the much older Egyptian deities. Surely the time has come to do justice to the venerable figure described in the above pages, and to elevate Imhotep to the place of honor which is his due. All right, let's jump into the epilogue. We've completed Chapter 6, the epilogue. We have now completed the story of the venerable physician, whom Sir W. Osler calls Dr. Imhotep. From the time of his dramatic appearance as vizier and magician physician of King Zoser to his elevation to the rank of one of the full Egyptian deities. The contemplation of a career so varied in its pursuits, so notable in its achievements, so trusted by suffering humanity, so glorified in its final apotheosis, must call forth a tribute of admiration. The worship of Imhotep extended well into the Roman period, at any rate as late as the 4th century of our era, so that his career, one of unique interest, extends over a period of about 3,000 years. His name deserves to be held in everlasting remembrance as one of the few men of genius recorded in the history of ancient Egypt. He is one of the fixed stars in the Egyptian firmament. His influence still remained dominant when the Egyptian civilization had long passed its meridian, and the country had become the vessel first of Greece and eventually of Rome. The graffiti of the rich Greeks and Romans who visited the ruined temples and tombs still record the homage paid to our hero and the widespread faith of his power to heal the sick devotees who flocked to his shrines. During the Greek and Roman periods of Egyptian history, Imhotep, alias Imhotep, became more and more closely identified with Asclepios and Aesculapius, the Greek and afterwards the Roman god of medicine. Ultimately, indeed, Imhotep was entirely merged in the latter deity. In Egypt, as everywhere else, the old order changeth, giveth place to new. In the course of the intervening centuries, time's eroding finger and the vandalism of man have wrought strange transformations in the temples where the beloved Imhotep formerly reigned as the beneficent deity who gave life and health to the sick and suffering. His chief temple at Memphis is now a scene of desolation, where once the sacred aisles and pillars echoed to the march of priests and worshiper, all in silence, save for bats and owls and scarabs. The impressive ceremonial, the magic rites and incantations that ministered to the healing art have ceased forever. No longer do the seekers have health crave permission to sleep within the precincts of his temple in the hope that the deity would appear to them in dreams and reveal the panacea for their sickness. No longer do devoted patients sing and dance before his shrine with hearts bursting with gratitude for a new lease of health and life. The smaller sanctuary of Philae is submerged in a vast reservoir destined to bring material blessings to the country in lieu of the healing virtues formerly associated with the temple. The glory has also departed from the other shrines, linked with ImHotep's worship, which have been alluded to above. Let us, however, be thankful that even to this day, there survive some material and visible memorials of the immortal Egyptian physician, the terraced pyramid of Saqqara, the ruins at Philae, at Deir el Bahari, and elsewhere will long remain as imposing reliquiae, recalling the part he played on the stage of history. And even when pyramid and temple have crumbled into dust, his name will still be held in undying remembrance. Deep are the footprints he has left on the sands of time, and physicians all over the world will ever revere him as one of the pioneers of their ancient profession, as one whose name on fame's eternal bead roll is worthy to be filed. Medici immortales in perpetuum ave. And that concludes ImHotep, the Vizier and physician of King Zoser. I hope everybody has enjoyed the reading, and I have a really special treat for everybody. So, matter of fact, while we're up here, let's go ahead and talk about that just for a quick second. Just for a quick second. So, as y'all know, I read a book. I read a chapter out of a book 5 days a week. All right. Very thankful to be able to do it. I love it. And so I do the books in sevens, right? So this book that we just completed, ImHotep, the Vizier and Physician of King Zoser, is number 6. So number 7 is a child's book. And I may change that to a 9-book rotation, but right now the book rotation is 7. Okay. So our next book, what's coming up on episode 74. I hope you all are going to tune in. Make sure you got your children watching. We're going to be reading The Never Ending Story. So this is a childhood story for me. I love this story. And I think there's a lot of lessons in it. So this is what we're going to be diving into on episode 74. So I hope everybody, all the families, you come together and we do this as a family, because this is a really awesome story. This is a little break. So our 7th book, being a child's book, will always be the book that kind of like breaks up how cerebral most of these other books are. You know, the MasterMind Library is just that. It's a book of mastermind material. Okay. But we got to have a break from the mastermind material every now and again. So that's always going to be our 7th book. We'll always make sure it's something for the children, something that will uplift the children, help them build courage, help them build faith, help them build love, compassion, empathy, maturity, accountability, responsibility, humility, and sacrifice. Helps them build those things, but at the same time gives a little bit of humor, gives a little bit of fun, gives a little bit of suspense, gives all those different things. And then we dive right back into right back into the mastermind types of books that you can, anybody, just so y'all know, I know I don't say it very often, but down in the comments, we've got a lot of links in there. Feel free to visit any of those. But I also want y'all to know we have the MasterMind Library link in the description. So every single episode, I make sure that the MasterMind Library link is in there. Anytime that you want a new book, or you'd like to get some high vibrational material to help you to change something in your life, to make some different moves to help you be successful in whatever it is that you'd like to be successful at, feel free to visit the MasterMind Library. I've been accumulating the books in that MasterMind Library for a few years now, and They've helped change lives. There's people who've been able to get rid of disease because of the books in the Mastermind Library. There's other people who've been able to pass classes in college because of the books in the Mastermind Library. There's other people who've been able to get to inspire their children to act like they got some sense because of books in the Mastermind Library. Then there's others who they just have a personal desire to be stronger at understanding the Mayans. Well, maybe they go to the Mastermind Library and they pull up the Popol Vuh. Then there's others who like to see the full genealogy of not the full genealogy. They like to see the family tree from Adam and Eve to Yeshua. Well, I have a Prince James version, not a King James. I have a Prince James version Bible in the Mastermind Library, and I have a bunch of other Bibles in the Mastermind Library. I have the Codex Sassoon in the Mastermind Library. I have the Codex Vaticanus in the Mastermind Library. I've got multiple other Bibles in there. I think I have a Geneva Bible in there, and I think I might even have an Ethiopian Bible in there. I definitely have a Bible in there that is written in Hebrew, right? So those are all in there. The Quran is in there. The Koran is in there. The Circle 7 Koran is in there. The Analects of Confucius is in there. Teachings of Buddha is in there. I mean, I can go down the list. There's so much more, So please visit the Mastermind Library. The link is down there. It's free to anybody who decides to jump in there. You can download whatever books that you want. And, like, do that. These books have the answers in them. A bunch of these books that are in the Mastermind Library, I want y'all to really understand this. A bunch of those authors dedicated their lives to accumulating that knowledge and then putting it in these books, or writing them in scrolls, and then they got translated into these books. But when a person dedicates their life to something, they're going to find different things about that discipline that almost nobody else is going to be able to find, because they dedicated 40 years to that, or they dedicated 50 years to that, or 20 years, or whatever they dedicated to it, right? So take that time, go to the Mastermind Library, find a book that you and your family can sit down and read together, right? Find something that will uplift your whole family. Don't just find something that's going to pique your, you being able to laugh, or pique your emotions. No, how about you pique something that's going to say, all right, boom, now I can create something that's billionaire worth, $1 billion worth. Now I can create something that's filled with massive wealth. Massive wealth is not necessarily money. Okay. So you will find material in there that will help you build wealth in your life and to help you expel generational curses. This is major. All right. So we've concluded MHotep, the Vizier and Physician of King Zoser. It's been a pleasure reading this book. I like to give an applause to Dr. Jamieson Hurry. I do think there's a couple of things that's missing, as I told you all, but I do think that he still did a good job. All right. So until next time, expose your gift.